This video is a companion to my deep dive on Desperate Housewives the game. You don't need to have watched it to understand what is going on here, but it would be nice. And if you're not familiar with the show or the game, I would still recommend watching that first. It's a fun and interesting narrative Sims-like / adventure game, even if its low budget peeks through the polygons sometimes. However, if you don't know about the game and are curious about the story it tells, as I suggest in that video, you should try to experience it yourself first if you can get it running. Because this video will contain full spoilers for the entirety of Desperate Housewives the game. That's what this video is, a complete rundown of the story. Kind of. It's a recap of my own playthrough. The game has side quests and several endings based on a decision made at the very end, and it's not much of a branching story, but it is one that is colored entirely by your own playstyle, the way you choose to react to your neighbors, and the little things you decide to do on Wisteria Lane. I played as a bit of a lunatic, to be honest. Started out as my take on Elizabeth Holmes. Not an entirely unrealistic Desperate Housewives character, as you'll see. I'm also assuming you're already familiar with the premise and main characters of Desperate Housewives. If not, go watch all 180 episodes real quick and then come back here. The game, which is entirely non-canonical if such things matter to you, takes place somewhere around the start of Season 2 without really including any of that season's plotlines. This means no Applewhites, no Zach, Rex is gone, Lynette is working, Mike is not on good terms with Susan, and Edie is on very good terms with Carl. The game begins with the creation and naming of your very own Desperate Housewife and her family, so join me please as I tell you the tale of Lizzy Holmes, her husband Blort, and their teenage son Dirt. Welcome to Wisteria Lane, a magical place where the barriers between common decency and the ability to keep secrets are supernaturally weak. A place of mystery and intrigue, of opportunity and betrayal, of family and scandal.
While others find that no matter how much they try to conceal the truth, somehow things always find a way to come back to the surface.
This is Lizzy Holmes, and she and her family have just moved to Wisteria Lane. She is immediately welcomed by Edie.
Hello, I'm Edie. You are now involved in a conversation.
Then Bree,
Hello,
who promptly invites her to join the rest of the gang for some coffee at her house. There she meets Susan and shares with her that her husband is a doctor, so Susan naturally starts blathering about all her own missteps with medical professionals.
Really? I dated a doctor not that long ago. Dr. Ron. Didn't really end that well, though.
She then meets Lynette and Gabby.
We should go shopping sometime. I know all the best places around here.
Lizzy drops that she doesn't know exactly how long she's been married to her husband, and explains that she has a case of amnesia from an incident 20 years ago.
My, I certainly wasn't expecting you to tell us that. I'm terribly sorry I asked. Perhaps we should move on.
She's learned to live with it, apparently. Some of the girls are not exactly skeptical, but they seem to understand what this may mean for the lane.
All I'm saying is that when you only know about one half of your life, there's no telling when the other half might come back for a visit.
The topic of conversation shifts to gossip about Edie, who's been spotted looking through other people's mailboxes. Coincidentally, Lizzy had found a package of pills addressed to an EB in her mailbox. Susan activates the darkest part of her psyche.
They're probably special extra-strength birth control pills. You know, considering how much Edie gets around.
On her walk home, Lizzy encounters Edie doing exactly what everyone just talked about.
Well, you wouldn't know it yet, but our mailman can be a little absent-minded.
While cooking, Blort creeps up on Lizzy and she inquires about his first day at his new job.
Luckily, I found a new assistant to help out around the office.
During dinner, Lizzy and Blort are curious about Dirt's day at school, and though he's being a typical teenager, he does seem particularly excited about a teaching assistant in his English class.
Have you met anyone that you like at school yet?
After dinner, Lizzy makes Blort forget all about his new assistant. Lizzy gets introduced to the other recent arrivals on Wisteria Lane, the Fox twins. Daniel is a successful fashion designer and the confident one, while Frank is a bit more shy but also a computer genius and sets up Lizzy's internet for free. How kind of him. Meanwhile, Daniel is being a horrid little gossip.
Did you notice how Susan Mayer was acting this afternoon? She was running around like a chicken with its head cut off, flipping over chairs in her backyard and on the porch. She seemed pretty freaked out. She must have lost something important.
Lizzy spends the next few hours browsing the web, playing internet poker and gardening. While she's taking a stroll around the street, Lynette asks her for a favor. Her little demon children acquired one of Susan's paintings, and she wants Lizzy to sneak into Susan's house all solid snake-like and return it unnoticed. Lynette doesn't know it, but this teaches Lizzy some valuable skills that'll come in handy later. Blort calls and has apparently arranged for Lizzy to receive therapy from the psychologist in the office next to his, ostensibly to help her deal with the enormous life change of deciding to move to another neighborhood after having gotten amnesia 20 years ago. Or something. In her mailbox, she finds a file folder with documents in it and a note from Paul Young. He had apparently borrowed these from Blort and is returning them. Lizzy takes the minivan to the shopping center to visit her husband at his office and meets his new assistant, Jackie, who we all immediately dislike.
It's strange. He never mentioned a wife.
Lizzy picks up a stray prescription pad, just in case. She also returns the documents that Paul Young had borrowed. Medical journals, apparently.
He was curious about some new studies regarding cerebral capacitance.
There is nothing suspicious going on. Lizzy goes to the therapist, Dr. Henriksen.
Yes, I am, and it's a pleasure to meet you. Please, take a seat.
He asks for some life details, and Lizzy explains about her amnesia. According to Blort, Lizzy had some kind of accident while jogging on the beach. She doesn't remember anything from before or from the year or so following it. She does express some doubts about the stories her husband told her, like about how they met. Supposedly it was while he was playing chess in the park, and yet he doesn't really know how to play chess. Before she leaves the shopping center, Lizzy meets the pawn store owner, Buck, a proper scumbag who has a proposition for her.
Obviously, I would never pay for goods that I knew for sure were stolen. But people bring things in every day. I can't be expected to research the history of every object that enters my store.
At night, Lizzy robs Gabby's house and then Bree's house. Don't worry about it. The next day, a fear-mongering TV news section makes Lizzy worried about dirt.
A new study has shown a sharp increase in juvenile perpetrators of violent and drug-related crimes, especially in suburban areas.
Yeah, sooner or later he'll be friggin' addicted. Just like all the others. That moron should have known better than to mess with us. He had it coming. Next time, we're going to kill every last one of them.
She seeks advice from Bree, who's not exactly useful.
Since neither of my children would ever be capable of anything even remotely illegal, I really don't have any advice to offer.
Susan is equally useless.
I know, sorry, I'm no help. I hope whatever's going on with you and your son blows over.
Not quite sure why she bothered asking Gabrielle, to be honest.
Teenage boys aren't really my department. At least in terms of how to raise them.
But she points out that Lizzy might be better off inquiring with one of the younger girls who lives on the lane. So she goes to ask Allison Tinsley, whose house is right on the cul-de-sac. She doesn't clear anything up, but blames Frank Fox for Dirt's behavior. Maybe he's not as kind as he appears? Lizzy goes to Daniel, who says Frank is out of town but has been mentioning something about utter war something. Then she burgles their house. And a few other houses. Don't worry about it. Anyway, it's just a video game. Dirt's just been playing a Call of Duty clone with Frank, that's all. Frank is completely innocent. Well, maybe not completely. Today, Lizzy meets Etta Davenport, a nosy elderly lady who's gawking at Lizzy's garden and being real passive-aggressive about it.
That's cute, dear. I'm sure you will do the best someone as green as yourself can.
Lizzy resolves to make her garden shine the brightest on the lane, just to shove it in that nasty old woman's face. Also maybe sabotage. Lizzy robs the Solis house again. They have a lot of stuff. She's a little worried about Dirt's grades and his relationship with Allison Tinsley, so asks Susan for advice.
You know, there's always a chance that this girl isn't the reason why he's doing poorly. Has anything else changed recently?
Susan points Lizzy to Julie for more info and to Bree to get his teacher's phone number. Remember, this is a video game and it requires fetch quests by law. Julie doesn't know Allison all that well, but has nothing bad to say about her. She mentions something too about the school play being cancelled this year, even though Dirt said that's what he was busy with, and points Lizzy to the neighborhood theater kid, Andrew Vandekamp.
There haven't been any play rehearsals since the first week of school, so I've had to help around the house after school. Ugh.
Seems like Dirt has been lying about his after-school activities. Instead of play rehearsals, he's been spending an awful lot of time with the hot teaching assistant Tabitha. That night, Lizzy burgles another house and basically annihilates her entire garden with insecticide. Girls gotta have hobbies. The next day, after some, business with the pawn shop owner...
I need to find a golden death mask. I have a client that is extremely interested in, shall we say, unique art.
Lizzy gives Tabitha a call. She wants to know what's up with Allison, but Tabitha is bound by confidentiality or something. Or maybe not?
I generally don't like to get involved in student affairs, but ever since he started dating that slut, Allison, he won't talk to me anymore.
Yeah, something weird is going on here. But she reveals something important. Dirt never said anything about getting tutoring sessions from Tabitha.
Oh, well, I was just helping him deal with things that he was finding hard to grasp during normal school hours.
Oh, I guess that's why. She's blackmailing him for sex. That's really screwed up.
Listen, if you don't tell your son to break up with Allison and resume our tutoring sessions, I can make sure he won't graduate.
Lizzy tries to threaten her, but turns out her dad is superintendent. It's time for Lizzy to show this girl she doesn't know who she's messing with. But first she seduces Mike because, I mean, look at him. Then she robs Mrs. Davenport's house. Just another average day on Wisteria Lane. Bree reveals Tabitha's tragic backstory. Several years ago, her 18-month-old brother died while she was babysitting him. It wasn't clear what caused his death, but Tabitha was sent off to Europe and came back changed, no longer the nice little girl she was before. Naturally, people speculated that she may have been responsible for her brother's death somehow. But Lizzy's not here to sympathize, she's here to gather information so she can save her son Dirt.
Listen, lady, I was only 14. My father told me it would be okay. I didn't mean to hurt him, but he wouldn't stop crying. I just wanted him to shut up. All right, you win. I'll back off and let him do what he wants.
Lizzy tells Dirt his little problem has been taken care of, and that now he owes her.
I'm sorry I lied to you, Mom. But it was just such a messed up situation. I just kept hoping it would go away.
Lizzy has really become one of the girls because she now gets to join them in their regular poker game. Lynette will be very busy with work soon, so suggests inviting Daniel Fox to the game in her place. Lizzy cheats, but just a little. The girls continue to gossip about Daniel, with the gist being that they seem a little intimidated by his impeccable sense of style.
When I saw him shopping last week, his clothes were just so perfect. Even the straight men were looking at him instead of me.
Later, Blort reveals a deep, dark secret to Lizzy.
Well, I didn't tell you the whole story about something either.
Her big diamond engagement ring wasn't a real diamond until he secretly had it switched after he could afford it. Phew. No more secrets between these two now, right? Apparently, Mrs. Davenport blames Mike's dog Bongo for tearing up her garden. Mike asks Lizzy to investigate. It's pretty clear it wasn't a dog, but some other form of beast entirely. 3 of them even. Lizzy picks up some evidence and interrogates the suspects. They have a strange motive.
Mrs. Davenport buried her husband in her garden. With it all messed up, we thought he rose from the dead. When Mr. Davenport died, Dad told Mom that Mrs. Davenport's garden was all messed up. So we figured that she must have buried him in there. One day, he just up and disappeared. About a week later, she said that he had died while visiting family.
Now, Lizzy could just blame the kids, really that's something the game lets you do, but they seem to have been attracted to the garden because it was already messed up. Lizzy looks up Mr. Davenport's obituary online, which apparently has been retracted. It seems like he remarried somewhere outside of Fairview. Etta was just ashamed of her husband leaving her and flat out lied about him dying to gather some sympathy. Lizzy confronts her with this info to clear Bongo's name.
No!
So I'm still not sure who actually messed up her garden this time. Mike thanks Lizzy personally. Very personally. This isn't the mission reward, by the way, I just seduced him right after. Lizzy lets Daniel know, as politely as she can, that the other girls are a little threatened by him.
Well, that's a shame. I was hoping to enlist them to be models for my fashion show.
Alright, so he's doing a fashion show and he needs 5 models, and Lizzy has a chance to win a spot as long as she can keep all the meters in the game in the green. It's a video game, let's not ask too many questions. She gets right on it, and then promptly seduces the mailman.
This is like a dream. The hottest housewife on Wisteria Lane coming on to me? Let's not waste any more time.
Just can't resist those shorts. Then another visit with Dr. Henriksen, in which Lizzy recounts how difficult it was to relearn how to live after her traumatic injury, whatever it was. Blort was apparently very supportive. Nevertheless, she senses something is not quite right.
Well, that is what we're here to find out. and I'm sure that he has interest in you rediscovering your past as well.
Trying to recount her childhood memories, Lizzy vaguely recalls something about her high school boyfriend, but it's too fragmented to make sense of.
Perhaps some time to think about. I'll give you a call for your next appointment in a week. Have a great day now.
Episode 5 starts with a shady character leaving something in Lizzy's mailbox, but she has more important things going on. Daniel's fashion show is on, and she is in, along with the other girls, minus Edie, who always gets shafted. Daniel asks Lizzy to find a special fabric he needs to make her dress. Gabby has a lead on this fabric, but I walk in on an argument between her and Carlos.
Mama wouldn't have had any problem with this, you know.
Do not bring your mother into this, Carlos.
I'm just saying there are certain things a woman should be able to do in her own home, and this is one of them.
Gabby may have retained a dress made from the fabric Daniel needs back in her runway days. All she wants in return is for Lizzy to cook a meal so she can pretend she made it for Carlos. One cooking minigame later...
It's a pleasure doing business with you.
After delivering the fabric to Daniel, Lizzy's put onto another fetch quest, and ends up overhearing Frank talking to a mysterious and threatening stranger on the phone.
Who is this? Come on, Frankie. You know who we are, and we know who you are. Let's cut the crap.
She then catches him talking to Mailbox Man, who apparently knows something about his secret past.
I'm sorry, I don't think I know you, and I don't talk to strangers.
Oh, I'm certain you don't know me. I'm not really from around here per se, but I am very much familiar with who you are. My visit to Fairview is the result of an interest in some of your most recent activities. If I may, I have a couple of questions I'd like to ask you about your duties during your tenure at the Bank of...
I really can't talk now. A friend of mine is working on a project, and I told him I'd help him out with some of the details.
She tries to speak to the man, but he's far too busy.
I'm afraid I can't speak with you at the moment.
So she slaps him. Twice. Anyway, for her hard work, she's rewarded with permanent ownership of Daniel's dress. He then tasks Lizzy with collecting little bios for all the models. More fetch questing in the Wisteria Lane dungeon. Meanwhile, Edie calls with a proposition. Because she wasn't included as a model, she wants to disrupt the fashion show.
This chemist guy I'm friends with, and sort of dating, was kind enough to give me a little present.
She'd like Lizzy to help ruin one of the girls' dresses, preferably Susan's, with a time-delayed acid so that a spot opens up in the show. Lizzy, entirely in line with her character, considers the offer but declines, possibly because she values her friendship with the girls more, or because Edie's reward of $100 was not nearly enough.
Because of you, I was forced to sabotage the show on my own. Thanks a lot, loser. I'll be watching you. You better not warn anyone about the dress, the runway, or the out-of-order microphone.
Lizzy snitches to Daniel about the sabotage. It's her time to shine, and she'll be damned if anyone ruins it. The next day it's fashion show time, and Liz and the girls are waiting backstage when some shady dude walks up and wishes her luck.
Vincent Corsetti to my business partners. My friends call me Vinny.
He and Lizzy flirt a little.
That's entirely up to you.
Vincent's assistant points out that Lizzy looks a lot like...
And you saw me speaking with her, didn't you?
Well, sure I did, but...
That's good. Now tell me why you felt the need to interrupt our conversation.
I'm sorry, but there's something you're gonna want to check out.
What are you talking about?
That guy you told me to look for. I think he's here.
Then Trenchcoat Man comes to see Lizzy too. He warns Lizzy that this high-profile fashion show is attracting the wrong kind of people, such as Mr. Corsetti. He tells her not to get involved. The show goes off without a hitch, and Edie is seething. Edie, having apparently cooled down a little, asks Lizzy if she'd be alright with her showing Vincent around her home because it's of a similar design as the one he's interested in.
The new estate homes are similar, but the materials are of superior quality, and the space will be much larger.
Well, maybe she hasn't cooled down that much. Vincent does not shy away from being an Italian stereotype.
I make my pasta from scratch, though. I don't use those new pasta machines you see on TV.
I get the sense Vinny only wanted this tour to get closer to our dear protagonist.
Here's my phone number. I hope to see you again soon.
Lizzy checks her mailbox because the quest log tells her to, and finds an envelope with only her name on it. Inside, an old silver locket. Susan calls to ask if Dirt can help Julie with some school and computer stuff. Dirt agrees to do it.
Oh, all right, Mom. I'll go talk to Julie.
Lizzy goes to Gabrielle for help with the locket, seeing as Gabby knows all about jewelry and shiny stuff. There's pictures inside of a young couple. Gabby estimates the locket is about 25 years old.
Reminds me of a locket my boyfriend gave me in high school.
Lizzy notes that the guy in the picture looks vaguely familiar too, though naturally with all the amnesia, she can't really make the connection. Gabby then asks for a favor, needing Lizzy to look up the phone number of a fashion agency so she can get back into modeling behind Carlos's back. Blort calls to tell Lizzy to not make lasagna tonight because he's having lunch with Jackie at an Italian place to celebrate her getting into medical school. He also asks Liz if a bracelet or a necklace would be a better gift for her. The nerve!
I may have to stay late tonight. Don't wait up for me.
Lizzy, ever the helpful neighbor, knows that the entire Scavo household has come down with a cold and offers to make some chicken soup to take the load off Lynette. She then goes to Bree for a chat. Bree doesn't think the girl in the locket looks like Liz. Liz then asks for counsel on the whole Blort-Jackie situation.
Well, if I were you, I would stop by the office unannounced a few times. Just drop in and snoop around to see what's going on in there. Information is power, and without it, you are helpless.
After doing some web searching for Gabrielle, Daniel calls to talk about something sensitive. Lizzie's having a really busy day today.
It's Frank. He's been in his room ever since the fashion show ended. He seemed fine beforehand, but that's just it. He's locked in his bedroom and he won't come out.
He wants me to come to his house and figure out what's wrong with Frank. Later, maybe. Lizzy gives Gabby the modeling agency phone number and then confronts Jackie at Blort's office.
Hello. What a pleasant surprise. Look, I know you're jealous of me. I would be too. I mean, let's face it. I'm at least 20 years younger than you.
Oh, hi, honey. I'm surprised to see you here at this time of day.
Lizzy is not having it.
Don't be ridiculous. I have a perfectly professional relationship with Jackie. I would never cheat on you. I love you more than anything in the world and would never do anything if I thought it would harm you.
She demands Blort come home with her right now. He assents.
Jackie, I'm going home with my wife now. Can you finish those applications I had started before you leave?
Of course, Doctor.
Not that she's going to spend any time with him because it's poker night again. Tonight's topic, a debrief on the fashion show, and of course the mysterious locket.
Oh, how darling. Who are the people in the picture? Who sent it to you?
Lizzy asks if anyone else has spotted Trenchcoat Man.
Oh, I've seen him around. He reminds me of one of those old gumshoe detectives or something.
Nobody knows what his deal is.
I haven't seen him, but I'm not sure I'm comfortable with a man in a trench coat wandering around where my kids are playing.
The conversation shifts to Vincent Corsetti. Edie lets slip that he's loaded.
I plan on doing everything in my power to sell him the most expensive house I can find around here. And if I play my cards right, I just may end up living there myself.
The next day, Lizzy makes the soup she promised Lynette.
Oh, wow. Thanks so much. I'm sure the family will love it.
Then it's time to figure out what's going on with Frank Fox.
Go away! Leave me alone!
Lizzy calls him a selfish baby.
I know this is idiosyncratic behavior. You'll just have to trust me this time. Are you standing out there, Daniel?
I'm here, Frank. Are you going to come out?
No, but I was wondering if you could order me a large pepperoni pizza and slide it under the door. If you take it out of the box and put it on some newspaper, it should fit.
Lizzy's tired of all this and goes to her son to ask about Frank. Remember, they're both players of the hit computer video game Utter Warfare.
I was just taking a 5-minute break from my history assignment, and I noticed on the Game Forum website that Frank Fox had posted a weird message. I figured I should tell an adult or something. Well, it was sort of a goodbye letter. He says stuff about being worried that someone is after him or something, but it's pretty vague. He says that he'll be quitting the game for a while and may never come back, depending on whether he gets hunted down in real life. It was really freaky. I think you should take a look at it.
Lizzy logs on and jacks into the game's forums and checks it out for herself. Indeed, Frank, under the alias Double Trouble, wrote a goodbye post mentioning that he's being hunted down in real life and is preparing to fight a battle of some sort. User Wild and Crazy 91 replies with, "God ridank, you suck at this game anyway." The internet. Lizzy takes the long walk back to the Fox house to share her findings with Daniel.
Oh, I knew those video games would be the death of him. I never understood what the appeal to all that violence was.
She reminds him that video games do not make people more violent, but forums do.
I hope it's nothing too serious. Maybe he's just been drinking too much coffee.
Having taken care of somebody else's problem again, Lizzy goes to another therapy session. Attempting to recall her high school days, from what she does remember, they were pretty ordinary, until, at the age of 16, her parents died in a car accident. She went into a foster program, and it was not a pleasant experience. The only family that could take her in was a second cousin in New York, just a few years older than her, and she had to leave her boyfriend behind.
It sounds like you had it hard. But at 16, even dealing with it vicariously has to be rough as well.
Her second cousin didn't really want to have her around, though, so Lizzy found a job at a coffee shop and slept in the loft. This musing causes a breakthrough. She has a very specific memory of writing a letter to the boy. The session ends there, but progress is progress.
This is just the first domino, so take your time.
Vincent leaves a bouquet of roses on Lizzy's doorstep, while Trenchcoat Guy watches from behind a fence? Blort is still spending an awful lot of time with his assistant Jackie. A mysterious unknown caller has something to say about Blort, actually.
Who I am is irrelevant, but what I have to say is of extreme importance.
She claims to have proof that Blort and Jackie are doing the dirty. She tells Lizzy she may be interested in the contents of the safe in his office, and she knows the combination, which is their wedding anniversary.
Best of luck to you. We women need to stick together. Bye.
Looks like Liz is about to have another eventful day. She decides to consult with Susan, who knows all about philandering husbands. But first she tries to seduce Tom Scavo.
Look, I find you very attractive, but I love my wife. I love Lynette.
Doesn't work. Probably for the best, to be honest. She'd just end up pregnant again. Susan brings up a cooking contest and encourages Lizzy to join.
The winner gets their recipe published in the paper, and there are other prizes as well. It's a big deal around here.
Bree is expected to win, as she always does, but Lizzy has a cunning plan. About Blort's potential affair, she encourages Lizzy to just confront Blort.
You know, some men respond well to a firmer tone. The way a dog does.
Lizzy enlists Susan to distract Blort with a house call so she can snoop around in his office and check out that safe. Blort calls to apologize, or is it just to make excuses?
We need to talk when I get home. I'll try to leave the office as soon as I can, but it's insane over here.
Susan follows through, and come dinner time she distracts Blort with a fake house call request, though she's laying it on a little thick.
Really? You have 102 fever and there are bumps everywhere? Oh my god. Your hair is falling out in clumps? And you smell burnt toast, but you don't even have a toaster.
Jackie catches Liz in the act. She was the anonymous caller. This was a trap.
You know, I knew from the first moment that I met you that you're not worthy of him. Besides, I think we both know that he is looking to move on from his starter wife.
Not only is she very clearly after Blort, but she's willing to burn it all down to get him.
I don't think you understand. If I can't have him, no one will want him. I'll destroy his reputation, he'll lose his license, and we know what that will do to his fragile male ego.
Now, you have gotten to know Lizzy a bit so far. She can take care of herself, and she's not going down without a fight. But first, something more important than saving her crumbling marriage. Sabotaging Bree's spice rack so she doesn't stand a chance at winning the cooking contest. Lizzy's entry? A nice ham quiche. The next morning, Lizzy looks up dirt on Jackie the same way I research my videos. Furious web searching. Jackie is seemingly a serial fraudster, having previously seduced men at a former workplace only to walk away with a big ol' sexual harassment settlement, all with a different last name than she uses now. Lizzy goes to the shopping center with multiple things on her to-do list. First, wait an hour until the cooking contest girl spontaneously appears in front of the fountain. Next, a quick therapy sesh to deal with the fallout of being the blackmailee instead of the blackmailer for once.
My suggestion is that you two should come in together and have a couples session to iron out some of these issues.
Lizzy rejects the offer, but Dr. Henriksen makes a good point anyway.
You really don't want to get mixed up in this woman's game.
He keeps encouraging Lizzy to just be open and honest with Blort. But exiting the office, she sees something that shocks her to her core. Jackie kissing a woman. Lizzy starts up a conversation with the woman, Faith. She's incredulous at the accusations against Jackie at first.
You're just saying that because Jackie is a successful woman who happens to be attractive.
And you're a jealous, dried-up old shrew.
But Lizzy brought receipts, printouts of her research.
That little bitch. I bet she was only after me for my inheritance.
They go talk to Blort to uncover the whole damn plot.
I've heard Jackie talk all about her plans to get a lot of money from work recently.
I'm sorry, have we met?
I'm Faith, Jackie's lover. Oh, sorry, ex-lover.
Blort is being an idiot.
I've just started up my practice, and I don't know if I can afford to lose my secretary right now.
Liz threatens bedroom time, and Blort caves.
I'm sorry to do this to you, but you're fired.
What are you talking about? Is this some kind of joke?
Jackie gets fired, and Faith dumps her.
I won't let you sweet-talk me into falling in love with you again. We're no longer a couple. Goodbye, Jackie.
Faith, I'm so sorry. Please, don't leave. You're everything to me. I'm begging you. Don't act all high and mighty. We all have our secrets. You still don't know what's in that safe, do you?
Jackie's gone, but still makes a good point. Blort may not have been cheating on Lizzy, but he's still hiding something. Just can't trust a doctor with a tiny little ponytail, you know? This episode starts with a break-in. Hey now, only Lizzy is allowed to do that. But it's not really a robbery, it's a threat. Looks like someone doesn't want Lizzy to snoop around Frank's business. The cops question him, not as a suspect, but the intended target. They think the perpetrators were looking for something on my computer. Blort decides to stay home today and does the thing he's best at, putting his foot in his mouth.
Well, I'll leave you two alone. If we come up with any new leads, I'll contact you immediately.
Thank you, officer. It's actually a relief. I'll stay home and lounge around the house all day doing nothing. Pretty much what my wife does all week, but for me, it'll be a vacation.
Just shoving that thing right up in there.
Save the women's lib stuff for your girls' poker game. We know the real deal.
He's pushing his luck. He doesn't know it yet, but it was at this moment that his fate was sealed. Lizzy makes him do all the chores. Daniel calls to tell Lizzy that Frank's coming over to explain what's going on. Lizzy slaps Blort because he's being a misogynistic asshole. Frank arrives to tell his story. A few years ago, he was working as the IT guy for a finance company and discovered that people at the top were sending a ton of small transactions to accounts in the Cayman Islands. He carelessly told a junior partner about the scheme, and that junior partner mysteriously disappeared a few days later. Frank isn't stupid. He left the company with a backup of all the evidence. When he set up Lizzy's computer all the way back in episode 2, he installed spyware on it so he could use that computer to check into his old company's chat traffic without revealing his address.
So I was remotely using your internet connection to monitor their transmission.
You can prevent this from happening yourself with today's video sponsor, Bob VPN. Just kidding. Frank reassures Lizzy that he didn't spy on any of her traffic and that she doesn't need to worry about these people targeting her house anymore because he contacted a federal agent.
The agent is that guy in the trench coat who's been walking around town lately. His name is Eric Larson. The less you know about my plans, the safer you are. So I'm not going to say anything else.
Lizzy remains curious about Mr. Larson, and he seems curious about her.
Eric might be able to tell you more. He seemed very interested in you and your family, actually.
She goes to find him at the shopping center. Lizzy says hello with a slap.
Ouch.
She asks him if Frank Fox can still be trusted.
I can't really tell you anything about the case. Just rest assured that Frank Fox is no danger to you, and that his problems are about to be over as well.
He tells her to just keep it to herself, and she'll be safe. Daniel calls again. He wants to talk in person. While she's there anyway, Lizzy decides to have a quick chat with Dr. Henriksen. She's confused. She feels like she knows Eric Larson, and he certainly gives off the vibe that he knows more than he's letting on. Henriksen's response is basically, of course he knows more, he's a federal agent. But this doesn't really satisfy Lizzy. Something else is going on. She opens up Internet Explorer 5 and asks Jeeves for information about Eric Larson. She finds a password-protected personal page on the Federal Investigation Bureau website, Nebraska high school football records, and he has an award-winning cat named Panther. Panther. Lizzy hacks the mainframe, and she's in. It's a personal blog for Eric's friends and family. He mentions being assigned to a small town on an embezzlement case, being consulted on the long-running Corsetti case, and, curiously, having located an old friend from back in Nebraska. Wonder who that could be. Before talking to Daniel, Lizzy deals with her frustrations regarding her husband the only way she knows how, by sleeping with Mike. Daniel asks for a favor, He wants a gun.
There is one catch. Due to a past incident I'd rather not go into right now, I can't purchase a gun. I figure you're connected in the neighborhood, you have influence, and you might know of a way to procure a gun for me. I mean, you're friends with Mike Delfino and Bree Vandekamp, right? You could probably just borrow a gun from one of them. Besides, your recent burglary makes you such a sympathetic person. It will be a piece of cake for you. Now, if they're not home when you get there, feel free to just sneak in and borrow it. I'm sure they won't miss it for a week or so.
Lizzy would be outraged, but Daniel is maybe the only person on the street who truly understands her. Luckily, she has Mike wrapped around her little finger.
I guess I can let you borrow my gun. Just be careful. And if you need any help, I can show you how to use it.
Daniel is appreciative.
Wow. Now that I'm actually holding it, it feels different than I expected. I mean, this thing can kill someone. I hope I don't have to use it.
Lizzy reminds him to be careful and discreet.
You are far too worried about this. I need it for protection, that's all. Everything will be fine.
Blort calls from the office, even though he's supposed to be at home. It's an emergency. Frank is there, but he's not all there.
I don't have the discs. What happened? Where am I?
Blort found him in the parking lot, beaten and unconscious.
I went to meet with them. They wanted the discs, so we arranged to meet downtown. They said they would kill me. And then Daniel.
What are you both talking about?
Frank caved in the face of the threat on both his life and Daniel's. Last he remembers, they were headed for their house to search for the discs.
Daniel won't stand a chance if those men show up. We need to warn him right away.
Lizzy immediately calls Daniel to warn him, but he doesn't understand the severity of the situation.
What's the matter? You sound strange. Is everything all right? Ah, hold on, sweetie. Someone's at the door.
Oh no. Lizzy rushes to Daniel's house and finds...
Jesus! I'm bleeding!
With his last breath, he says,
I'm so tired. I'm gonna close my eyes. Tell Frank, take care of my begonias.
The entirety of Wisteria Lane is in shock. After all, it's been a couple of weeks since something horrifically tragic and traumatic has happened. Daniel Fox has been buried. Frank, having lost his twin brother, is distraught. Bree calls Lizzy to invite her to a memorial for Daniel later that day, asking her to wear the dress Daniel made for her. There's a cop posted outside the Fox house, now a crime scene more than a home. Lizzy asks him how she can reach Frank, but he's not being cooperative.
I was told to stand here and see to it no one went inside.
Edie interrupts the conversation to complain.
The whole murder in the neighborhood thing isn't exactly a boon for the real estate business.
She's been a little too busy to please Carl. Anyway, she knows that the cops have taken Frank to the police station. How does she know this?
Besides, Officer Kyle's not the type to manhandle a perp.
Wait a minute, how do you know Kyle?
Edie's so resourceful and helpful.
You've been so much help. Maybe I'll put in a good word with Officer Kyle.
Thanks, but don't tell him what I said about Mr. Fox.
Oh, don't worry. My lips are sealed. At least when it comes to talking.
Lizzy gives Frank a call.
Hello?
He's still a little upset for some reason.
I'm down at the police station right now. They're calling it questioning, but they've been grilling me for hours in this godforsaken, freezing cold room.
Frank reveals that he's being taken to a safe house.
I've been told that I'm not supposed to talk about it, but they can all go to hell for all I care.
Lizzy tells him that the cops don't have any leads and are pretty much useless, and that they have to solve the case themselves.
Sounds like a plan. Get as much information as you can. We'll figure something out from there. People like talking to you, so it shouldn't be hard. And keep me updated.
The rookie cop guarding the Frank house is easy to manipulate. And let's slip that there are two suspects, the two ex-cons who live on Wisteria Lane.
The rest of the squad can deal with finding information about Michael Solis and Carlos Delfino. I'm just fine out here.
He gives Lizzy a reconstruction of the events according to him. It's a silly theory, but Lizzy goes to have a chat with Mike anyway. Mike does seem to have a certain kind of dislike for Daniel.
It's like he just dropped off the face of the earth, which is a bit of a relief, because he's such a pain in the butt.
Is it motive? No, he's just entirely unaware that Daniel got killed right next door somehow. And he's got an alibi anyway.
I was with Susan and Julie that night. Sort of a dinner and kidnapping combined, since Susan didn't seem to want to let me leave.
Susan and Julie can corroborate this.
He was here that night. I remember because you did everything in your power to stop the poor guy from going home.
Julie, you're being silly. It's just that it was late, and I was worried about him walking home alone at that hour.
Lizzy then speaks to Carlos and Gabby, mentioning that the cops see Carlos as a person of interest.
They suspect me. I went to jail for embezzlement, for Christ's sakes. I'm not a violent man.
Their marital issues suggest Carlos has nothing to worry about, at least when it comes to this case.
Earlier in the day, Carlos tried to drag me into another one of his charity benefits.
Oh, here we go.
I'm not talking to you, sweetie. Stay out of it.
Listen, honey, she came over here to talk to me.
Carlos doesn't want you to know that he threw a fit because I didn't want to go to his little party. We fought about it for hours. Then we had the makeup sex. Then we fought again. Then more makeup sex.
Yeah, we didn't make the charity event, but I definitely gave it my all. As did Gabby.
But Gabby does remember she may have seen two people snooping around Lizzy's house the night of the murder, but she wasn't sure enough to tell the police. Carlos has nothing to add.
I definitely didn't see anything out of the ordinary that night. I'm sorry, I can't help you out any further.
Why are you apologizing to her for not seeing anything? God, Carlos, you can be such a wimp sometimes. And another thing, Carlos.
Lizzy leaves with one last lead. She asks Dirt if he saw anything suspicious that night. Unfortunately, he's a teenager.
You know what's funny? If you and Dad would just let me stay out later, I'd probably be able to help you out right now.
But somehow he still has something useful to say.
I was playing Utter Warfare online with this guy I know from the web forums. Double Trouble.
Wait, Frank stopped playing the game, remember? How could Dirt have been playing Utter Warfare with him? When she presses him further, he mostly whines about how she and Bree are keeping him and Danielle apart. Whatever. Time for the memorial gathering for Daniel. She helps each of the girls process their feelings in their own way.
Well, I'll say one thing. He was the only person around here with any taste. I'll definitely miss that.
Okay, let's talk about how foolish we were to think we were safe living in this bubble. I mean, truth is, there's no such thing as being absolutely safe. It's really scary. I have 4 beautiful, albeit annoying, kids.
He was like one of the girls. Sort of. We even invited him to poker night. And we don't do that for just anyone, you know. Who would want to do something like that to someone like him? Thanks. It's nice to know there's someone that understands what I'm going through. I can see why Bree invited you over. You always know just what to say.
Anyway, remember how Edie said earlier that she didn't have the time to give Carl any attention? Well, Lizzy's still wearing this designer dress and would like to put it to good use.
You guess you'll have to do what? Yeah, hi. Were you hitting on my boyfriend?
Edie is known for being shameless, but she may have just met her match.
Don't mind her. She's just pulling your leg. Aren't you, Edie?
Of course I'm joking. This is almost funny. The two of you should know better than to try to hook up behind my back. Not without asking me first, at least. Now that we've dispensed with the pleasantries, I really need to talk to Carl for a moment. You can wait here if you want to. But we're going to be about an hour or so.
We are?
Yes, we are. Give or take about a half hour. Depending on whether you want side dishes or just the main course.
I'll take the works. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks. I'll see you out.
Ah, well, looks like Lizzy whiffed it. Except, Lizzy calls Edie's work phone and pretends to be a potential home buyer by the name of Cthulhu Farnsworth Young Husband, and it works.
No, I'll meet you there in 30 minutes.
Flawless victory. The next morning, Lizzy has a chat with Bree.
There's only one thing that comes to mind when I think of that night. But it certainly isn't going to bring Daniel's killers to justice, so it's probably better not to speak of it. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. That was the night your son attempted to court my daughter. That night, he and Danielle were coming back from their date. I caught Danielle trying to sneak back into the house. She knew better than to stay out that late. I assume your son was the bad influence.
Seems like Dirt has been lying to his mother again.
Mom, haven't you done enough? Now you're talking to the neighbors about this? Haven't you embarrassed me enough already?
I'm not trying to embarrass anyone, dear. You do more than enough of that for the both of us. Needless to say, they were surprised when I greeted them on the porch. I sent your son home immediately. Then Danielle and I had an interesting talk that evening. Do you know what this means?
Yeah, it means we were out that night.
I used to think my Danielle was incapable of hurting a fly, but she is susceptible to dangerous boys.
Bree has a theory now. But Danielle reminds her that this theory is impossible and asinine.
Do you seriously think I'm capable of that? The police said Mr. Fox was killed at 11 that night. And if you remember, you sent him home way before that. You went off on your whole high and mighty, and of all things, on a school night tirade and sent me to bed.
So Lizzy returns to Dirt to get the truth out of him.
That girl just can't keep her mouth shut.
Another lead appears.
I did see someone standing outside the Scavo house talking to some car.
On the way to investigate, Lizzy seduces some random guy in a tracksuit. Look, it's been a busy day and she just needs to unwind, okay? Who are we to judge her? Lynette says it wasn't her outside, but that she did see Gabby.
Are you telling me that Gabby was running errands at midnight and decided to stop and have a conversation with a stranger?
No, Tom, she was literally running in her very tight pink jogging outfit. You know, the one you're always staring at.
Back to the Solis house it is. Lizzy's really getting her steps in today.
I told you I went out running that night, didn't I?
Gabby, what is she talking about? Just what were you up to that night?
I don't know. There was some guy.
Some guy?
No, wait. 2 guys, actually. They were really confused. Of course they had names. The one that talked with me in the passenger seat. His name started with an L, but I can't remember what it was. Well, they did freak me out at first, but he was just asking for directions. It was pathetic. The guy tried to flirt with me. I mean, come on. He was driving last year's model. Did he think I'd even give the time of day to a guy in a car like that?
After a lot of yapping, Gabby finally reveals that the 2 strangers were looking for the Fox house.
Do you have any idea what this means? You're an accessory to murder, Gabby. And you withheld information from the police. Hell, I could be violating parole just for being around you.
One of the guys was trying to flirt with Gabby and gave her his phone number. No Einsteins in this story.
Now I remember. His name was Leonard, but my friends call me Leo. Yeah, didn't do much for me when he said it either.
Lizzy is so tired of running around the neighborhood chasing leads that she has a quickie with the food delivery guy just to feel alive again.
Another successful delivery made. I hoped you enjoyed the entree as much as I enjoyed giving it to you.
Back to the murder case she's trying to solve. Turns out the phone number Gabby got from this Leonard guy was written onto stationery from Corsetti Pharmaceuticals. She calls the number. It's Vinny's assistant, Joe Biden.
Okay, where do I talk into? Hey, Vinny, what am I supposed to do? How does this work? Jesus Christ, are you a moron? You talk into the phone and say something like, leave a message after the beep. Or Big Sammy sleeps with the fishes. Your choice. Hey, what are you doing? You're recording right now. You gotta start over. I don't want my voice on your stupid answering machine.
Or at least his answering machine. But Lizzy has Vinny's number, remember? She calls him.
I don't know what you're looking for. I was as upset as anyone else when I heard about his untimely passing. It was an absolute tragedy. Poor preening bastard was doing so much for the community.
He claims ignorance on Leo until Liz presses further.
Sorry, name doesn't ring a bell. How does this relate to me exactly? I mean, I do business with a lot of people. Oh, yeah, Leo. I think he works at the pharmaceutical office. We have a lot of employees, though. I don't know them all by name.
She reminds him that people tend to get what they deserve.
Listen, I'd love to keep talking to you, but I've got an important business call on the other line.
Immediately after hanging up, Eric calls.
What the hell do you think you're doing?
He once again warns Lizzy to stay away from Vincent Corsetti, not because she's investigating the murder, but because Vincent is being monitored. With that in mind, he wants to meet in person, and he's dropping bombs.
There's a hell of a lot more to Daniel's murder than you think.
Shouldn't come as much of a shock to anyone, but in spite of having the facade of a businessman, playboy, philanthropist, Vincent Corsetti is a high-ranking member of the mob. After Frank uncovered the embezzlement going on in his former company, the perpetrators hired Vinny's goons to clear their tracks, including killing Daniel, thinking he was Frank. But Eric says something very surprising.
Are you really that forgiving? Or did you just block that whole ordeal out of your memory? I really thought the locket would stir up something in you. But I guess that wasn't the case. What did he do to you?
Here come the revelations. The kids in the locket? Eric and Lizzy, high school sweethearts. When Lizzy moved to the city, she got involved with Vincent. After she got in over her head, she contacted Eric for help, but she didn't show up to their meeting, and he thought she died or wanted nothing to do with him. When he joined the case against Corsetti, he was surprised not to find her right by Vinny's side. Then he heard that Vincent had found someone he was looking for. Lizzy. Or should we say...
Yes, Mary. I'm talking about you. Looking into Vincent allowed me to find you again, but you had a new life. I didn't want to step in where I wasn't wanted.
Eric is still being protective, urging Lizzy, or Mary, to stay away from Vincent. But he doesn't know what happened to her, how she vanished. He doesn't know about the amnesia.
We took that picture at the Wood River County Fair. That was long before you got involved with Vincent, of course. It's us. And I know somewhere in the dark recesses of your mind you know it to be true. What I don't know is how you can black out on an entire section of your life. Sooner or later, you'll remember something. You can't block out memories forever.
Whew, that was a lot. Time to inform Frank, I guess. He's got some stuff to say himself. He's rejecting the safe house and wants to meet at the shopping center. So Lizzy ignores the speed limit to get there. The game doesn't say or show this, but it just seems like something she would do. To help her friend, of course. Lizzy recounts her entire investigative journey, and Frank has been doing some detective work on his own. Pretty damn good detective work too, but they're not there yet. Vinny is slippery after all. They need better evidence. The plan? I don't know. He doesn't tell Lizzy.
We'll find out soon enough.
Bree is furious at Dirt. Apparently someone's been spreading disparaging flyers about Danielle Vandekamp.
It's obvious he's trying to get revenge on our family. Poor delusional boy thought he was good enough for my Danielle.
Danielle blamed Julie Meyer for them, and Dirt is the #1 suspect.
Yeah, I didn't see it at first either. But if you think about it, it makes sense. It's this vicious circle. He circulated those nasty flyers. Danielle blamed Julie for them and started spreading rumors about her at school.
I'm just here for moral support for my 2 favorite girls.
Everyone's dancing around the subject. But the one thing we know is that your son has ruined our girls' lives.
Lizzy promises to look into the source of the flyers, resolute that her son isn't behind them. She raised him better than that. Then Allison Tinsley shows up and accuses Dirt of an email harassment campaign. Dirt claims innocence.
I told you I had nothing to do with it.
So that's it. He tells you he didn't do it and you believe him.
Come on, Carl. Let's let her deal with her son.
Sure thing, Susie Q.
After the angry mob has left, Lizzy calls Frank, hoping to use his computer expertise to find out more about the emails Allison received. Straight to voicemail, right after Vincent calls her, just to check in, but sure seems to know a lot.
I hate to ask, but I heard some stories about some greedy secretary that was trying to blackmail him or something. Did you ever find out what was in his safe?
He encourages her to still look at what's in her husband's safe and is sending a mysterious package. Back to Dirt's problem, she takes a closer look at the flyer. On it is written, Danielle is easy, in feminine handwriting, and it seems to have been printed on the backside of a poster for a lost dog. Mike's lost dog, Bongo. Mike's not happy about it and cautiously points the finger at Mrs. Davenport.
The woman's nuts. Every time I walk past her house, she gives Bongo the evil eye. And not just Bongo. Cats, dogs, rabbits, even squirrels.
Meanwhile, a new kind of bug has infested Lizzy's garden, and they're immune to her bug spray. She might as well ask Queen Gardener Mrs. Davenport if she can help with this.
Oh, so some new pest is attacking your garden, eh?
While initially reluctant, Lizzy simply offers to deliver some of the bugs to her garden if she's not willing to help out. The threat works, and it seems Mrs. Davenport is quite an expert on poisons.
Ooh, there's so many good ones to choose from. Well, let's just say insects aren't the only pests I worry about. Poison is poison. Enough of it will kill whatever is bothering you.
Whatever the case, it gets the job done, though not without also ruining the garden. Lizzy picks up one of the bugs and brings it to Mrs. Davenport for identification. She doesn't know much about them, but does recognize them from somewhere.
Although I do recall seeing a warning about them online. Right next to an advertisement to buy the very same bug. I think the company was called Pestport. You know, come to think of it, I think I remember seeing the Pestport logo somewhere. I was out here gardening as usual. It was sometime in the early afternoon. Oh, that's right. I saw the mailman with a package that had the logo on it.
Maybe Lizzy should question the mailman. He does owe her a handful of favors after all. But first, what did Mrs. Davenport drop in her garden? A dog collar? This, the rat poison, and her tearing down Bongo's missing flyers are making her look awfully suspicious. Does she have an explanation for all this that doesn't make her look like a horrible pet murderer?
What now?
No, she does not.
Well, I could protest, but why bother? You got me. Those pesky animals make a wonderful fertilizer, by the way.
Her husband had a dog, Sparky, who he loved more than her. Sparky would also tear up the garden frequently. She intended to make it sick with a little dash of rat poison, but ended up killing it.
Of course, Rod didn't know I had accidentally killed Sparky. I wasn't sure what to do with the body, so I buried it in my garden.
Somehow this did not make him love her more.
Rod was depressed for weeks. I think he thought I might have done something because he was very standoffish. Shortly after that, Rod left me for that other woman.
With her garden now being the only thing she had left in life, she became very defensive about it.
Look, I know I wasn't being rational, but my garden was all I had left. And it was so easy to get rid of them. Another lost pet. Big deal. No one takes any notice. Then I decided to move on to preemptive strikes. If an animal looked at my garden funny, he was a goner. And they made such great fertilizer, too. Oh, my garden has never looked better.
Now, Lizzy may be a lot of things. A thief, an extraordinarily unfaithful wife, and potentially a mob boss's ex-girlfriend. But she does not tolerate animal cruelty. She convinces Mrs. Davenport to cut it out in exchange for keeping the secret. You never know when a good secret can come in handy. Back to Dirt's little flyer problem. Lizzy asks him for a handwriting sample to compare. No way he made the flyer. Next, she has some words with Danielle.
You want to know how to get one with your name printed on it? I've heard stories about you, you know.
She still suspects Julie.
Who else could it be? It certainly wasn't your son. Not that I wouldn't have minded, but he never got anywhere with me. My mom made sure of that.
And she's still very angry at Dirt.
He should be defending me. He hasn't said or done anything to tell people it wasn't me.
Lizzy now confronts Julie, who of course denies everything.
Well, for your information, I'm innocent. And if you think I would actually be capable of something like that, then I'm done talking with you.
To get a writing sample from Julie, Lizzy tells her she's making a book about people who knew Daniel Fox, asking them all to write little notes for a personal touch. Now, Julie didn't know Daniel all that well, so Lizzy helpfully tells her exactly what to write. Daniel led a fashion show that brought the neighborhood together. The neighborhood is a darker place without him. It will not be easy to go on without Daniel Fox. Frank still won't pick up the phone, so Lizzy goes to his house. He's fine. He gives her some tech jargon about IP addresses and bandwidth, but he assumes someone must have access to Dirt's account, and he doesn't know of anyone on the lane who has the expertise to hack into it. So whoever it is must know the password. Lizzy asks the obvious question, and Frank gives the obvious answer.
It would be a cakewalk for me, but I didn't do it, and you know that.
At home, Lizzy berates Blort for being a bad father.
I don't have the time. I'm really busy at the office these days. Why can't you speak with him?
Then she confronts Dirt about his password hygiene, something he wouldn't have to worry about if he used Bob Pass, the new password manager service from the people behind Bob VPN. Kidding again. But I almost got you this time. My real sponsor is Skullshare.
Skullshare, you've got Skull. We want Skull. Go to skullshare.com/ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba.
Today!
Well, Tabitha made me tell her my password while we were, dating.
Of course, Tabitha. Lizzy finds the mailman to figure out where the package came from.
Okay. Maybe I can help you out, but I'm gonna need an incentive. That was the most complete inspection of a package I've ever experienced. And one good turn deserves another. Here's a copy of the order form that came with the package you were asking about. Now, if you'll excuse me, I really have to get back to work. But know that you've performed a public service, or at least performed an act on a public servant.
The bugs are also from Tabitha. Looks like she's come back for round 2. Lizzy calls her with all the evidence. Well, most. She forgot to compare Julie's handwriting to the flyer, but thankfully the order form of the package of bugs has Tabitha's handwriting as well. That's Exhibit A and B in one. Tabitha having Dirt's email password is Exhibit C.
Okay, you caught me. So now what? I don't need to do anything. There's no way you can get me in trouble. My father is a close friend of the sheriff, as well as a longtime member of the city council. I'm untouchable in this town, honey.
Untouchable? Not when Lizzy knows and was former lovers with a federal agent.
Wait a second. Let's talk about this. Maybe we can make a deal.
As you surely know by now, Lizzy has a very strong sense of justice.
Please, I can't pay any more than that. Can I pay you in installments? Like $200 a month. Show some mercy.
And $5,000 isn't enough to make her change her mind. She calls Eric and tells him, 1, to stop calling her Mary, that's not her name.
Oh, sorry.
2nd, they figure out that those nasty purple insects aren't indigenous to the US and importing them is highly illegal.
At least 6 to 8 years in prison. Smuggling them onto US soil is a federal crime. There's no way she could have gotten them past customs legally. Just say the word and I'll get some men on it.
She informs her son that he's now free.
Prison? Wow. Isn't that a little harsh?
Way to be grateful, Dirt. Now Vinny wants attention again.
The package should be on its way.
Apparently, it contains sensitive info on Blort. Can Lizzy just get a day of rest without all these men causing trouble for her? Wait, what is this? The penultimate episode, folks. Things are going to start heating up quick, starting off with Lizzy being confused and angry. She fantasizes about what she could do to Blort, but regains her composure and decides to talk to him first.
Oh, it's a bit early for one of our talks, don't you think?
The package contains the contents of Blort's safe, and it doesn't put him in a good light.
What? You went through my safe? How? I really don't have time to talk about this right now. You have to trust me, though. There's a perfectly logical explanation for all this. You're just overreacting, like I said.
That's the way, Blort. Tell a woman with a traumatic past and amnesia that she's just overreacting. I'm sure that will work out for you.
In the meantime, you should probably start seeing your therapist more often. Maybe he'll keep you from overreacting to misunderstandings like this from now on.
Why did Lizzy marry this man?
You might have a tough time getting downtown, though. I think I accidentally left your car keys over at Frank's house when I stopped by to check up on him. So why don't you just run your little errands and we'll talk about this when I get home.
Maybe you should have stabbed him when you had the chance, Liz.
We'll talk later. Have a great day, dear. Bye.
Susan calls asking if everything's alright. She could hear Lizzy and Blort fighting.
I'll always make time to talk to you about whatever's going on in your life. When you buy a house on Wisteria Lane, you don't just gain a home, you gain a family. All of us become your extended family.
Lizzy wants to go over and talk, but apparently Susan is busy.
You see, Edie's coming over in a bit to talk to me about, well, something.
So much for family. Whatever. She has more important business to attend to, such as taking a detailed look at the contents of Blort's safe. Besides the voided marriage certificate, there's also the file folder that Paul Young borrowed back in her early days on Wisteria Lane, with information about amnesia and repressed memories. Why did Blort keep this? Next item, a picture of a woman in her early 30s, faded, creased, and worn. A sonogram of an unborn baby. And finally, a journal kept by Blort, detailing the complex illness of a woman in his care, his wife, comatose, and eventually succumbing to her symptoms after 6 weeks. But then the final page tells of him meeting her again and making love to her. She has come back to me. The rest of the journal's pages have been ripped out. What the hell? Walking past Susan's house, Liz overhears her talking to Edie.
I mean, come on. How stupid do you have to be to forget something like that?
Beats me. That's why I came to see you. I figured you had a lot more experience in that department than me.
Hey, that's not fair. I'm not that forgetful. I remember all sorts of things.
She decides to keep listening.
What does a guy have to do to a woman to make her completely and utterly disregard her better instincts and take a lowlife weasel like that back into her life?
Exactly. You know how men are? If he did it once, he'll do it again.
You talked with her not too long ago. What did she have to say about it? Does she even have any suspicions?
We talked. but it didn't really come up in the conversation. Is that all you came over to talk about?
Yeah, I thought that with all your experience in the matter, you might have something interesting to tell me about the whole ordeal. But I should have known. You always disappoint. It's becoming your specialty.
Oh, Edie, I'm glad you came to me to talk.
Whoa, hold your horses there, Missy. I said I thought you'd have something interesting to say. Not that you actually did. Catch you later, Mayor.
Were they gossiping about Lizzy? She makes her way to Mrs. Davenport's house to return to Giga Pesticide and sees her talking to Bree.
Although I'm definitely a fan, I simply can't stand it when they suddenly go limp before I get a chance to fully appreciate them.
I agree. It is a bit cruel that they don't last very long, but still, if you look closely, you can find other qualities that more than compensate.
Oh, don't get me wrong, I'm well versed in the pros and cons. I just think she can do better.
All right, then tell me this. Which one would you choose?
And I only get to pick one of the three.
Yes, just one. But which one?
Lizzy returns the super poison.
Always glad to help a neighbor. Even you.
Also, she and Bree were just talking about flowers.
A girl in the gardening forums online seemed torn over which of 3 types of flowers she should plant in her garden.
What a relief. What about Susan and Edie, though?
Her friend was getting back together with an old flame. This guy who treated her like absolute crap. But she still wanted to be with him, and we were just trying to figure out why a smart woman would put up with it.
Misunderstanding averted. That's why it's important to always get as much context as you can when you're secretly listening to people. With all of that settled and taken care of, Lizzy goes to Frank to pick up her car keys and say hello. While waiting for Frank to find the keys, she notices that he has a message on his answering machine. Now, it would be fully in Lizzy's character to listen to the message, but this is where I stopped playing for the day, and when I started again the next time, I had forgotten about it, so...
Here are your keys. Sorry to keep you waiting.
That's the way she goes. Bye, Frank.
Hey, wait. I have to tell you something. I'm going to be leaving Wisteria. For good.
Lizzy doesn't want him to go, but I get it. You can play Utter Warfare anywhere. Doesn't have to be in the same house your brother got shot.
Daniel was always on my case about this and that. It was like having a wife nagging me or something. No offense. It's hard to explain. Growing up, things were a lot different. Daniel was always up to something, and I was always up to something. Our parents loved us both the same, but Daniel was always the attention getter. He was always talking about some big idea he had or organizing some big event. He never stopped. That left me with nothing to do and no one to listen to me. Which in turn meant Daniel and I butted heads on a lot of things, ranging from the way we looked to the way we led our lives. I know it'll come as a shock to you, but Daniel was always hassling me about my clothes. But anyways, I spent a good deal of my life fighting with him and just saying awful things to him. Yet no matter what happened, he kept forgiving me, even after we'd grown up, and I'd never figured out why.
Frank is kind of a sweetheart, huh?
But if I'd ever thought something like this would have happened, things would have been a lot different. Of course, now, I'll never be able to do that. He probably died thinking I didn't even care about him.
Now he has to live with this guilt for the rest of his life.
The only thing keeping me going is knowing that I can bring down the bastards responsible. Listen, this needs to be kept quiet. But I've known you long enough that I think I can trust you. After you discovered the truth about Daniel's murder, I had a talk with Eric Larson. He told me that with what I know, I could shut down the mob family that was responsible for killing Daniel. But once the case against them gets underway, I'm going to need some protection from Vincent and his goons. So the reason I'm leaving Fairview is that the FIB is placing me in a witness relocation program.
Oh, this is a real goodbye. Well, at least he'll be able to get some justice, I hope.
It was nice knowing you.
Going to Dr. Henriksen's office for what feels like must be the last time, Lizzy encounters Eric. He says he's here on a case, but didn't find what he was looking for and leaves. Yeah, sure. Lizzy tells the doctor about her little pre-amnesia love triangle with Eric and Vinny and concerning revelations about the contents of Blort's safe.
But what does this have to do with your husband? Do you think he's involved in some sort of vast conspiracy or something?
Yeah, vast conspiracy sounds about right. Maybe it's not a conspiracy. Maybe she's the unwitting protagonist of a video game based on a successful primetime soap opera.
I can't tell you what to do. You have to figure that out for yourself. I only get paid to help people reach their own conclusions. But I will tell you this much. Sooner or later, you're going to find yourself in a position where you have to make a choice between these three men in your life. Make up your mind now before it's too late, or it will be made up for you.
Fantastic advice, Doc. Checks in the mail. Outside, she encounters philanthropist, businessman, all-around good guy Vincent Corsetti, not so subtly manipulating a cop into feeding him info, right in front of a federal agent, no less.
I just might be able to have a little talk with your chief. See if we can't bump you up from mall duty.
That'd be great. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with mall duty, but...
Lizzy uses her super hearing to eavesdrop.
Agent Larson, it's been a while. Surprised to see you doing so well these days.
What makes you say it that way, Vinny? Is there something I should know about?
There certainly is.
Mr. Corsetti?
There are a lot of people in your position that would allow themselves to, how can I say this, become obsessed with one case when there are a number of others to solve. I wouldn't want you to fall into that trap.
Oh, that's awfully considerate of you, Mr. Corsetti.
Yeah, thanks. I really appreciate your concern. And feel free to keep that smug look on your face. But trust me, it won't be there for long.
And why's that?
When you're huddled in your 7x12 cell being ogled by your heavily tattooed and well-muscled cellmate, the last thing you'll be feeling is smug.
And trust me, neither will you.
Me? Come on, Corsetti, why would I go to prison?
Well, I would think that stalking someone under the pretense of a federal investigation in an attempt to rekindle a failed relationship is considered a crime somewhere. Dereliction of duty, abuse of power, false representation. Take your pick.
Possibly. But if the testimony is coming from a known organized crime figure involved in a botched attempted murder, it might be somewhat tainted.
What the hell is he talking about?
Nothing, officer. Agent Larson has absolutely no idea what he's talking about. And this conversation is over.
See you around, Vincent. You can only run for so long.
Lizzy takes the opportunity to antagonize the cop before returning home.
Listen, I am not a mall cop. I'm a police officer that happens to be on patrol at the mall. There's a big difference.
Before she's even had the chance to close the front door, Blort calls.
So, there's something I want to talk to you about. Well, for starters, you've been acting awfully strange lately. I wanted to give you the opportunity to explain yourself.
He wants her to explain herself? Excuse me?
Whoa. Listen, this isn't about me. It's about you. You're looking at my personal files, checking up on my office staff. It's as if suddenly you don't trust me or something.
Damn right she doesn't trust you.
And then it dawned on me. This wasn't a problem until you started spending time with that friend of yours. That man's always sticking his nose in where it doesn't belong. On top of that, I don't trust him. He's up to something, and I think you know exactly who I'm talking about.
Lizzy expresses her consternation at Blort's behavior, and he seems to capitulate.
Listen, if it's really that much of a problem, I can try to finish up and come home a little early tonight. We can sit down and talk over a nice family dinner. How does that sound?
Time to make dinner for what feels like might be the very last time? During the meal, Dirt makes the smart decision to peace out.
The sooner he leaves, the sooner we can talk. I don't know how you got a hold of my safe, but I feel like you deserve an explanation. The woman in the photograph was a former patient of mine, and the journal was what I used to track her progress. She was also suffering memory loss, and that's why you found the documents on amnesia in there as well. She died under my care, and I promised to never let myself forget that.
They say that the best lies are wrapped around a core of truth. Lizzy would know.
And the sonogram was from when you were pregnant with our son. I couldn't bring myself to get rid of it. I guess I'm an old softy. You know me. I can be pretty emotionally overcontrolled. So I'm sorry I freaked out when you went through my safe. Not that I don't have a right to be angry.
He reveals that Eric was at his office asking about Lizzy and warning about Vincent.
I couldn't believe it, but who am I to question an FIB agent? Tell me, is this the kind of person you want to be friends with? At any given moment you could say the wrong thing to him and get yourself whacked.
Apparently satisfied with Blort's explanations, Lizzy hears a knock at the door. It's Eric.
Excellent, I'm glad you're home. I tried to get through to you earlier, but your phone was busy. I'm sorry for coming over at a bad time, but what I have to tell you can't wait. Trust me, you're going to want to hear this.
Blort's here too.
Oh, it's you. What do you want?
I just stopped by to say hello to an old friend of mine. I assume you don't have a problem with that.
I'm on to you, Mr. Larson. Are you trying to turn my own family against me?
What are you talking about?
Lizzy is just so tired of all of this. She wants to have a quiet evening for once in her life and tells Eric to go away and just leave her a message like a normal person.
Hey, you don't have to tell me twice. I'll get in touch with you another time. Good night.
And now Blort's all pissy too.
A few minutes ago, I opened myself up to you, and you're already keeping secrets from me. This is unbelievable.
No, Lizzy is having her quiet evening, no matter what.
Over the years, I've learned the hard way that there are no simple choices in life. Since my departure, things seem to have gotten even more complicated for my friends on Wisteria Lane, as well as my newest neighbor. Indeed, making a choice between the status quo, the chance to live on the edge, or to rekindle a long-lost passion is a difficult and complicated affair. But sometimes we find ourselves with no other option than to make a choice. And we can find the very decision liberating in and of itself.
Well, here we are then. Vincent is forcing Lizzy to make a choice.
I was just strolling through the neighborhood and ran into these two. I figured the four of us could have a nice little chat. Today was supposed to be the big revelation, wasn't it, Eric? It still is, but not quite in the way you were hoping.
I think you're onto something there.
No, this is about them, not me. There are people who want you to think of me as a bad guy, someone who shouldn't be trusted under any circumstances. But they're wrong. Dead wrong. Tonight, you're going to find out who the men in this room really are. And by the end of the evening, you're going to make a choice. You're going to pick the man you want to spend the rest of your life with. Of course, if you decide that you want me sooner than that, I'll understand. Why don't you start out by asking a couple of questions? See what everyone here has to tell you. In case you're tempted to try anything funny, I've cut your phone line and disabled your computer. And don't be stupid and try to run off. I've got eyes in the back of my head. I've got a guy just outside keeping a close watch on the place. No one's getting in or out unless I say so.
He's not making it very difficult to choose anyone but him, is he?
Trust me, there's a lot you don't know about the men sitting in this room. Ask them whatever you want. Given the circumstances, it's in their best interest to answer honestly.
So Lizzy gets to asking, and strangely enough, they go along with it. Eric is up first.
Well, you could expect me to make an honest living, provide you with everything you need and some of the things you want. I'd be home every night in time for family dinner, and I'd treat you like you deserve to be treated, with respect. On a federal agent's salary, I wouldn't be able to hire anyone to take care of the housekeeping. But on the other hand, I can guarantee you I'll never hire anyone to take care of you, like Corsetti did once upon a time.
Don't pay any attention to him. He'll say whatever he thinks he needs to in order to save his sorry hide.
Vinny's the one you shouldn't listen to, Mary. He doesn't want you to remember what he did to you, because if you did, you wouldn't have anything to do with him.
Next is Blort, Lizzy's loving husband? What does he have to offer anyway?
One thing's for certain, things need to be different. I'll do whatever you want, marriage counseling, a family therapist, whatever it takes. I just don't want to lose you. I can't live without you.
Lizzy doesn't really buy it. Blort has said these things before. And what kind of life can Vincent offer anyway?
That's a good question. I see you haven't lost all your smarts. You'll live a life of luxury. I'll see to it that you can have everything you've ever wanted. You'll never have to cook another meal or clean a house ever again.
The Bachelorette Gun to Your Head edition continues. Lizzy wants to know, from all three suitors, where would they take her, and what would they do?
I'd take you down to the local police precinct and have you give a written statement about everything that happened tonight. Why do you ask?
Not very romantic, Eric.
If? There's an if? I'm your husband. Love, honor, and obey. Did you forget that little part?
Actually, there's a lot to consider. whether she knows it or not.
Lizzy calls Vinny a gun-toting madman and then asks him what his idea of an ideal date is.
I would take you to a little out-of-the-way French restaurant I know of that makes the best creme brulee you'll ever have. After that, we'll head back to my estate, open a bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon, and let things progress naturally.
Right, fatten her up and get her drunk. Lovely. Alright, enough of this. Time for the lightning round. Lizzy wants to know, from all three of these men, something very simple. Is there anything you've done in the past that you'd like to get off your chest?
Sorry to disappoint you, but I've told you the truth from day one. Hell, I always tell the truth. It's probably my greatest flaw. The only thing I waited for was the right time to tell you the truth about Vincent, about your past, about everything. And that's also the reason why you saw me leaving the medical office.
Okay, Eric's hitting something here. Let's get it all out in the open.
For the past 20 years or so, you've had an acute case of retrograde amnesia. You knew something was wrong, but since your husband was kind enough to fill in all the fabricated details, you were blissfully unaware of that fact.
Come on, Larson. This is the real world, not some soap opera. Next thing you'll be telling us is that she has an evil twin. You'll have to do a lot better than that if you want to get out of here in one piece.
That's the first sane thing you've said tonight, Vincent. There's no way she has amnesia. It's not medically possible. Don't lie to the woman, Eric.
Of course, neither of these guys are going to let you believe it, since you discovering the truth isn't exactly in their best interests.
That's enough out of you. If you can't answer the questions honestly, then just keep your mouth shut.
Blort, you're up, and it better be something good.
No, I've come clean with you about everything. As much as Vincent doesn't want to hear it, there's nothing left to say. However, I will say that Eric over there isn't the saint he makes himself out to be. A little while ago, he barged into my office looking for God knows what. Now, I won't jump to conclusions, even though it seems everyone else here is doing just that. But I will say that he spent a lot of time asking questions about you, as opposed to questions about an actual case, which doesn't seem like fitting behavior for a distinguished federal agent.
He's deflecting. Classic Blort. And Vinny? Is the distinguished, respectable businessman / ruthless mob boss who's holding Lizzy, her son, her husband, and a federal agent hostage in her own home hiding something? Anything at all?
Me? Come on. What could I possibly know that's worth lying to you? You know, this is exactly what Larson wants, right? I knew you'd fall into his trap. He'll do whatever it takes to get you on his side, so that he can arrest me on whatever trumped-up charges he comes up with.
Lizzy's especially curious about Vincent having someone take care of her.
Larson has a whole story concocted that explains everything he wants you to believe. He says that I know you, that he knows you, and that I killed you. Which of course means that I should go to jail, right? Really convenient how that all works out for him, isn't it? He gets the girl and the collar. It's almost too good to be true, isn't it, Larson?
Lizzy points out that sometimes the most unbelievable stories turn out to be the truth. Anyway, time to make the big decision, I guess.
All right, I've got something I need you to do. Go over there and tighten their ropes. I don't want anyone leaving our little soiree before you have a chance to make your decision.
She does as ordered, not that she has much choice.
Hey, come closer. When we were being tied up, I saw that your friend Eric had a gun hidden near his ankle. He's our best shot at getting out of this alive. Why don't you go over there and loosen his ropes?
Hey, I sent you over there to tighten their ropes, not chat. So cut it out.
Eric's next.
I don't know what Vincent thinks he's doing here, but I promise you one thing. We're gonna make it out of here alive, together. I'll make sure he spends the rest of his unnatural life behind bars. He took my gun, but I have another one hidden in my sock. Loosen my ropes up a bit, and I'll see about getting us out of here.
I know for a fact that it doesn't take that long to tie a knot. Hurry it up over there.
Vinny makes Dirt check if the ropes have actually been tightened.
Actually, it's kinda loose.
Dirt, you
I'm not an idiot. It's my fault for trusting you so quickly. Doesn't matter. I've got something else for you to do anyway. We've been playing too many games. I'll admit, I had my fun with all of you tonight, but now it's time for you to make a decision. Take this gun and use it to rid yourself of the men sitting in this room that you never want to see or hear from again. And don't worry about the consequences. No matter who dies tonight, you won't take the fall. I've taken care of everything. So, And I mean this literally. Fire away.
Whoa. Feels good in the hand, I bet. Cold but solid. The power over life and death.
You can't pass judgment on another person without letting them have a final word.
Okay then, Judge Lizzy presiding. All three of them have one last chance to plead their cases. Vincent?
What do I have to say for myself? Not too much, really. You, on the other hand, have all of your options laid out right in front of you. All you have to do is make a decision. Look around you. Who would you be better off never seeing again? The Weasley investigator, the deceitful spouse, or the charming and incredibly handsome out-of-towner?
Lizzie's thinking. What about Blort? He's still clearly hiding something.
So you know that whole thing that Eric told you about me a few minutes ago? Well, I want to come clean with you about that. I know I told you that he was lying, and that what he was saying made no sense whatsoever, but that's not entirely true. The truth is this. We haven't been married for as long as I've told you. In fact, we aren't even technically married. I found you at a difficult time in my life. Right after the death of my wife, I'd put all my time and energy into saving her life, and I couldn't. She's the one I was referring to in my journal entries. After she died, I quit work and spent my days and nights at our beach house. The walks I took on the beach late at night were the only thing that really helped me get my head together. The only times I didn't feel despair. And one of those nights I found you. You were just lying there, unconscious. You had been badly pounded by the rocks and waves, but it also looked as though you'd been in an accident of some kind. It was obvious that you'd suffered a head wound.
What?
When you first gained consciousness, you didn't know who I was or who you were. I had never seen a case of retrograde amnesia before. I didn't even think it was possible. The more I read up on the condition, the more I realized how traumatic it would be to tell you the truth. You had no memories of your past life, so I decided to fabricate a story. The jogging accident story. You bumped your head while out jogging.
This is exactly like that movie Overboard, but instead of Kurt Russell, Lizzie ended up with Blort.
I know it's hard to believe, but things just sort of snowballed from there. We had a son, a house, you had a loving husband with a successful career. We were a family living the American dream. Why spoil it?
And lastly, Eric. Why does Eric deserve to live?
I'm not going to defend myself in front of that scumbag. But if you really think I should, here it goes. I never lied to you, not for a moment. And I don't need a gun pointed at my head to tell you that. Unlike someone else in this room, I didn't pay someone to kill you. And I would never place you in this kind of situation where you're forced to kill someone close to you. It's just sick. There's really nothing else to say. I love you. I always have. You have a chance here. No one has to die. We can all walk out of here, and the only one who's going to pay is a low-rent mafia middleman who started this whole situation anyway.
Now, before Lizzie makes her decision, let's do a quick recap of her life so far. The woman we now know as Lizzie Holmes was from a small town in Nebraska. As a teenager, she fell in love with a football stud by the name of Eric Larson. They were happy together. Then she lost her parents in a tragic car accident and had to move to New York to stay with her new legal guardian, a second cousin barely a few years older than her and not at all interested in being a parent. She ran away, got a job and a place to sleep in a coffee shop, and somehow got involved with up-and-coming gangster Vincent Corsetti. Maybe he owned a coffee shop, I don't know. At some point she realized she was in over her head and wanted to leave him, and contacted her old high school sweetheart Eric Larson, at this point possibly already in law enforcement. She didn't show up to the meeting though, because Vincent had caught on and had tried to get her whacked. She ended up on a beach with cranial trauma, where she was found by recent widower Blort Holmes, who immediately fell in love with her because of her striking resemblance to his dead wife. With her rare but extremely convenient form of retrograde amnesia, he concocts a story so that he can basically continue living on his nuclear family dream without having to grieve. What a creep. Also, that sonogram. Is Dirt even Lizzie's kid? I'm not so sure. Anyway, at some point, many years later, they move to Wisteria Lane, a place physically incapable of keeping things secret, and now here we are. Lizzie points the gun at Vincent and pulls the trigger.
I guess this is as good a time as any to tell you. That gun isn't loaded.
Ah, but Lizzie knew the gun wasn't loaded. Maybe she did some range time with Bree and could feel that it was a little light. Not that Vincent is any less dangerous.
I don't think you realize what's going to happen to these losers if you don't make the right choice today. The gun wasn't loaded this time, but the next time it will be.
I think she gets it just fine, Corsetti. You're a dangerous, hardened criminal with a soft spot for the one that got away. You're delusional, Corsetti. She wasn't the one that got away. I think it's safe to say you drove her away. The day you sent her car careening off that cliff.
That's enough, Larson. I'm warning you.
Did it really take you 20 years to make up your mind? It didn't take Mary nearly as long. She knows she doesn't want the likes of you destroying her life or corrupting her son.
You shut your goddamn trap. I've had enough of your stupid little remarks, Boy Scout. You think you're funny, do you? We'll see who's laughing when I walk out of here alive and they're picking pieces of your brain out of the basement wall.
This seems like a good time for me to go to my room, don't you think? You are having an adult conversation after all.
No, you're staying right here. I want you to see this. Adversity builds character and all that jazz.
Whatever.
Sometimes you do what you have to so that things turn out the way you want. It's all part of being an adult. You should ask your mother about that.
Lizzy gets Eric's hint and starts warming up to Vincent, asking him to join her upstairs.
What did you just say?
You don't have to say that twice. I'm right behind you.
Mom, can I talk to you for a minute? Alone?
Lizzy tells Dirt as she knows this looks bad.
You know, Mom, bad doesn't even begin to describe it. You're about to bang a mob boss with Dad tied up in the living room. I may be a clueless teenager, but even I know something is really wrong with the situation. Promise me you won't do anything with that scumbag.
She tells her son, and I'm quoting here, "To be perfectly honest, all three of them can go straight to hell. We can do better for ourselves on our own." Dirt is on board. What a good son.
Sounds cool, but we're gonna have to come up with a name for us. Mother and son sounds kinda lame. I'll think of something.
Gun acquired.
Hey, what the hell do you think you're doing?
And she's remembering now. The crimes she was involved with. The things Vinny made her do.
Hey, take it easy. Don't point that thing at me, Mary.
Back so soon?
Yeah, what's the matter? Was Vinny unable to rise to the occasion?
No, wait a minute. I see what she's doing. She went upstairs with Vinny so she could steal his gun. She's going to save us from this monster.
You know what? I think you're right. Way to go. Now come over here and untie us.
I think you guys have the wrong idea.
All right, then. What did you come down here to do?
They wanted Lizzy to make a decision? Well, here's her decision.
This is your last chance to come to your senses. You don't take out a made man and get away with it.
Blort is blort.
So just what was that little outburst about?
It was about 20 years of lies, you son of a bitch.
I already told you. I can't even tell you how sorry I am about that. You're always dragging things on and on. Why don't you tell me what you need to hear and get on with it already?
And Eric, well, Eric's not such a bad guy. Didn't handle things perfectly, I'll admit, and ACAB, but he's a better man than the other two. Still complicit in hiding the truth about Lizzy until it was convenient for him to reveal it, though. And now, well, wrong place, wrong time.
I don't understand. What did I ever do to you? I only told you the truth.
Mom, I hate to interrupt your little tirade, but are you close to being finished?
So it goes.
When faced with tough decisions, one is often forced to make sacrifices. Some of us choose to leave the comfort and stability that is the hallmark of our existence. Some make the decision to walk away from the status quo. Some of us choose to forego excitement and lavish riches. Some of us choose to stand by those who have supported us for years in pursuit of the long-sought happiness that has eluded them for so long. For although our choices may never be perfect, with time, effort, and the support of our friends, we all can find a way to be happy. Or at least to survive nonetheless.
Oh yeah, and Lizzy won the cooking contest.